Okay, let's do this.
Author's preface. In every chapter,
Let's not listen
Chapter
to that
2, Desire, the starting point of all achievement. The first step toward riches.
Can you hear clearly?
When Edwin C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey more than 30 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way from the railroad tracks to Thomas A. Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out the one consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business associate of the great inventor. Barnes's desire was not a hope. It was not a wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire, which transcended everything else. It was definite. The desire was not new when he approached Edison. It had been Barnes's dominating desire for a long time. In the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, it may have been, probably was, only a wish, but it was no mere wish when he appeared before Edison with it. A few years later, Edwin C. Barnes again stood before Edison, in the same office where he first met the inventor. This time, his desire had been translated into reality. He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Today, people who know Barnes envy him because of the break life yielded him. They see him in the days of his triumph, without taking the trouble to investigate the cause of his success. Barnes succeeded because he chose a definite goal, placed all his energy, all his willpower, all his effort, everything back of that goal. He did not become the partner of Edison the day he arrived. He was content to start in the most menial work, as long as it provided an opportunity to take even one step toward his cherished goal. 5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made its appearance. During all those years, not one ray of hope, not one promise of attainment of his desire had been held out to him. To everyone except himself, he appeared only another cog in the Edison business wheel. But in his own mind, he was the partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day that he first went to work there. It is a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. Barnes won his goal because he wanted to be a business associate of Mr. Edison more than he wanted anything else. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose. But he burned all bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became the dominating obsession of his life, and finally, a fact. When he went to Orange, he did not say to himself, "I will try to induce Edison to give me a job of some sort." He said, "I will see Edison and put him on notice that I have come to go into business with him." He did not say, "I will work there for a few months, and if I get no encouragement, I will quit and get a job somewhere else." He did say, "I will start anywhere. I will do anything Edison tells me to do, but before I am through, I will be his associate." He did not say, "I will keep my eyes open for another opportunity, in case I fail to get what I want in the Edison organization." He said, "There is but one thing in this world that I am determined to have, and that is a business association with Thomas A. Edison. I will burn all bridges behind me and stake my entire future on my ability to get what I want." He left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. That is all there is to the Barnes story of success. A long while ago, a great warrior faced a situation which made it necessary for him to make a decision which ensured his success on the battlefield. He was about to send his armies against a powerful foe, whose men outnumbered his own. He loaded his soldiers into boats, sailed to the enemy's country, unloaded soldiers and equipment, then gave the order to burn the ships that had carried them. Addressing his men before the first battle, he said, "You see the boats going up in smoke. That means we cannot leave these shores alive unless we win. We now have no choice. We win or we perish." They won. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by so doing can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. The morning after the Great Chicago Fire, a group of merchants stood on State Street, looking at the smoking remains of what had been their stores. They went into a conference to decide if they would try to rebuild or leave Chicago and start over in a more promising section of the country. They reached a decision, all except one, to leave Chicago. The merchant who decided to stay and rebuild pointed a finger at the remains of his store and said, "Gentlemen, on that very spot I will build the world's greatest store, no matter how many times it may burn down." That was more than 50 years ago. The store was built. It stands there today, a towering monument to the power of that state of mind known as a burning desire. The easy thing for Marshall Field to have done would have been exactly what his fellow merchants did. When the going was hard and the future looked dismal, they pulled up and went where the going seemed easier. Mark well this difference between Marshall Field and the other merchants, because it is the same difference which distinguishes Edwin C. Barnes from thousands of other young men who have worked in the Edison organization. It is the same difference which distinguishes practically all who succeed from those who fail. Every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, will bring riches. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite practical steps, viz. First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, "I want plenty of money." Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Sixth, read your written statement aloud, twice daily, once just before retiring at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money.
Did everybody get those?
No, I was gonna say, should we pause it?
Yeah, so the first one was know the exact amount of money you desire. Number 2 was determine exactly
What you intend to give in return.
perfect. What you
So I guess your time is worth X. And then third is like establish a definite date when you intend to possess what you desire. You want me to read them all?
Wow, Ian, good job. You
I
have
got
the
the
book.
Can I see the book that you have? I was just looking. I'm gonna get a
It's all in
copy.
there.
You got the
It's all in there.
Ian. Ian, you have the black one. Okay,
Yeah.
the hardcover black one. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I keep it next to my Bible.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
Number 4
Okay.
was determine the definite plan.
Yeah, to carry out your desire and begin at once if you're ready or not.
That was number 4.
Put this plan into action.
Okay.
Wait, let's just do them one at a time. What's the first one?
Okay, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, "I want plenty of money." Be definite as to the amount. And then it says there's a psychological reason for definitiveness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter.
Maybe we'll just do thumbs up when everyone's done number 1.
Yeah. All right. Number 2 is determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing.
Julie, are you actually answering the question or are you just writing it down for now? Because I think at the end we're gonna.
Oh, I'm answering the question. Are you guys not answering it?
I was just writing them down for now, and then I thought we could do that at the end, but doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. I thought
It doesn't matter.
what do
to
you
me.
guys want to do?
I was just wondering why it was taking everybody so long to write down the questions. I'm like,
Oh no, I was answering. Why are you laughing?
yeah, we can write them down.
Does anyone want to share their answers?
Do we want to wait till the end or do you want to do them now?
Who has 7 figures in their answer? Or who has, I have 6 figures right now.
Was it per year, per month? Was there a certain amount or we just, did it say, or did it just say put a number? And we make it up, whether it's per month or per year.
Ian, you're on mute.
It's what you desire. Like you want 1 million in 2022, you want 10 million in 2025. You write it down. Like it doesn't say when, or it just says you establish a date, establish a dollar, or not dollar, establish a value.
Cool, sounds good. Julia, do you remember me giving you that number?
Yeah, you did.
That's crazy because I didn't even realize that it was 15,000 a month. And I just wrote $15,000 a month, but that's what I wrote this morning when I was writing. That's so crazy.
That's so amazing.
Can I ask, are you guys meeting every Friday at this time for this group?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I host a recovery meeting on Friday nights, but maybe not, and then sometimes I'll try to delegate it. So I'm going to say have a great evening. And I got my book.
Okay.
So I'll catch up with you next week. I just got ordered my book. Hi,
Okay.
Patricia. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
I didn't see
Vivian.
Patricia a long time. Bye.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi.
She's still here. Hi, how are you?
I can see you. Good. Okay. Good night, guys.
So nice to see you. Bye, Vivian.
Good night.
What did you guys write for your for the what your willing to give in return. I wrote like, I don't know, addiction recovery services, programs, my time, coaching. What else did you guys write?
Time.
I think you've got to get
Time.
specific though. You can't just give time. You can't just trade time for money. You know, it's like you've got to, and if you're going to do that, then you have to have like a certain salary that you know that you're able to, you know, like if you're making say $80 an hour, like break down the numbers of how much time you actually have to trade in order to make X amount of dollars. So like get specific. So like even with Julia saying like coaching and this and that, like the ideal way to do it would be like, I need to make X amount of dollars within my coaching container. I need to make X amount of dollars within this. I need to make X amount of dollars with this in order to create that amount of money. So that you know, have like a clear my idea of exactly what it is you need to do in order to achieve your goal.
I think it all would boil down to time, though. Like the amount of time I would put in towards something. But then
you're just sitting
depending what that's sorry.
If you're just sitting there meditating, you know, for like a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, is money gonna come to you?
Well, like if I put my time towards something, like if let's say I'm trying to create art or program of some sort.
Yeah.
So then I spend 5,000 hours on this program. So it's worth X amount of dollars or X amount of whatever. But I don't know. I'm just trying to see, like, I guess at its core, I don't know. I'm just seeing it as time.
Do you want to keep listening and see what they say?
Yeah.
Ian, can you repeat what number 4 was?
Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire. Well, there it is. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you're ready or not, to put this plan into action.
Yeah. And then number 5 was write clear and concise.
Yeah, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. This book got me thinking when I was reading it the first time. A lot. Which one are we on? 5?
I'm just on number 4, but 5 was the last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's 6. Do you know? Are you good with number 4? You want me to read number 5?
Carry out your desire. Yeah, I'm personally.
Number 5. Pardon?
I'm just working on number 4 myself, just trying to figure out my.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me know when you want to read out number 5.
You can go ahead, Ian.
Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. That's 4. Sorry, that's 5. My bad. 4 is something else. Carrying out the desire. And to carry out the desire. They're kind of similar. What do I give in return for the money? Time and money and money. Okay. Money. Money buys time. Time buys money. This is the cool part, number 6. When you're ready.
Go ahead.
Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before retiring at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. It's like a prayer or something.
I love it. Does anyone want to share anything?
No, you'll take all my ideas then. I'm kidding.
It's a collaborative environment, Ian.
I'll go first. 600K, 2025. I'll trade my time in for money. The plan would be to set up an e-commerce business, finish setting up my construction company, become a senior consultant at my current job, launch a lifestyle brand, and start, I call it an ashram, but it's like my sustainable farm. How I would do it, I'd trade my time for money. I'd use my money to buy time, delegate people to do work. And through that, I'd use a time money kind of tree. So if I don't have 24 hours to do work, I'd use my money to buy that time by kind of delegating or splitting 24 hours maybe to 3 people. So that's the plan.
Beautiful.
Number 6, like, I guess would be to read this every day and believe that by 2025, I'd be making 600K. Or I would hit that 600K mark. That's what it is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
A little ambitious, but gotta do it.
Okay, we believe in you. Anything is possible.
Everything is possible.
Mhm.
It's just in the mind.
Mhm.
That's what they just said over here.
Totally. Mhm. Yeah,
I
I'll,
can
I'll
share
tell you.
mine.
I'll tell you a real story. Like, I put this number. I actually wrote this down, planned this, and I'm like, yeah, I need this amount if I'm gonna switch a job. But I set that number in my head, and when I was talking to these guys, who I guess the headhunters or whoever, I put in another number. And the reason I did that was, like I doubted myself because I went with the lower number first, and then I said, okay, I want this. And then when they came back, they gave me that first number I put in my head. And I'm like, why not? What's wrong with the other one? And then they gave me like 10 different reasons. And I just felt that I doubted myself the first time. And I should have put that higher number in my head first. Anyways, I was reading this and it kind of reminded me that. So thought I'd share. It's real.
Amazing. I think Carmen wants to go now.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Ian.
I'll just share my actual full statement because it has all of that in there. Which is interesting because I wrote a letter to the universe the other day and it just aligns completely. So so by October 1st of 2021, I have received my contract, which states 100K a year with commissions allocated as an addition. I will give up on quote unquote hanging with friends or answering those really long phone calls because I have a problem with that. I will also give up on the wandering need of shiny object syndrome because that has been a common sabotage of mine. And I'll also things that in my gut that I know are keeping me from succeeding, I will stop in its tracks. In order for me to actually obtain this, I will trade my time for my studies and become a vital part of the company that I'm with, and also accept partnership. I am focused and determined and ready for all my hard work to unfold abundantly.
Beautifully. Oh, so good. So excited for you, Carmen.
That's
That
awesome,
was
Carmen.
epic. That was epic. A lot of detail.
Yeah, it's been a 5-year thing. So it's obtainable. It's obtainable.
Definitely.
I already see it. So
Totally.
I'm like pumped.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the career is real estate. I didn't even mention that. It's real estate. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I'll just go quickly. I won't give my amounts, but I'll give my to-dos. Okay, it's in the high 6 figures is what I desire by 2023. But then that's through like addiction recovery services, my time coaching, my Isogenics offerings, services that enhance people's beings and lives. And then I also wrote down, I'd also love a record deal. So upping that by 2024 to doubling it. How I wrote down my plan. And I guess for the clear and concise statement, it's just writing the whole thing, right? It's just like looping everything back together. Right, Laura? Okay, this is good.
Yeah.
What was
What, like number 6, you mean?
Yeah. I've got it. I'll share it in the group.
Yeah, it's writing everything together as a whole.
Perfect. It's in the works.
Yeah. But
Patricia, do you want to go? Haley's making dinner and I know my mom's driving.
Sorry, just like really struggling with getting my phone to just stay still. It's been dropping this entire time. This is really annoying, but that's okay. Yes, I will go. I don't feel certain on it, but I'll go. And I'm realizing that like I second guessed myself even as I was doing it. So I put the figure of 150, but I originally wanted to put 175. And then I was like, no, that's too much. But then hearing some of yours, I was like, I should have probably put 175 because that's okay. So in terms of what I would offer for that money would be mental health and addiction support. The third one was how like the timeline. So I gave myself just some background. I today actually got accepted into Master's of Psychology program. So this is all aligned with becoming a psychotherapist. So the timeline I gave myself was within the first 5 years of after I'm done school in terms of making this money. And I would do two things. My plan is to work for a school board. Counseling students, and then also having a private practice on the side. And then the logistical sort of plan is to get my master's, write the exam to become a registered psychotherapist, and then attain a job with the school board, which I'm hoping will become easier because I'll do some placements at schools while in school, and then creating a private practice from there. And then I think the sixth step is sort of putting that together, which I haven't done. Hopefully I did that right. Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at.
Yes, congrats on getting into school. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, congrats,
Your
girl.
number at any point. If you want, if 175 was your initial thing, like feel free to change it.
I know, I think I just got to cross it off and put my initial, maybe strive higher and not doubt myself.
Yeah. That's awesome. So excited.
Thank you.
So mine, I'm going to be have $180,000 by September 21st, 2021. And I'm still breaking down the numbers with my plan, but I'm offering, like I broke it down completely. So my Reiki events, I've got 10 of them left before then. So that'll be about $3,500. Then my one-to-one Reiki, if I do 20 clients, I'll have about $1,600. And then planning on doing a teaching level 1 Reiki and then level 2 Reiki by then. So I have to figure out how many students I'd need in the class to make X amount of dollars for that, for each of them. But I think even like if I put 5 people in each class for that. And then my one-to-one coaching with 5 clients would be another 30,000. Group coaching with Julia will be 40,000. And then Isogenics would be 25,000. And then modeling, which I'm going to be starting in end of May to beginning of June. So I'm going to mess around with my numbers so that it breaks down to 180. So I've got like a clear action plan as to how to get there.
Nice.
Pretty damn detailed.
Yeah.
Yay. Shall we keep listening?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Thank you, Ian, for going through those again. Okay.
Anytime.
That you
Got the book.
instructions described in these 6 steps. It is especially important that you observe and follow the instructions in the 6th paragraph. You may complain that it is impossible for you to see yourself in possession of the money before you actually have it. Here is where a burning desire will come to your aid. If you truly desire money so keenly that your desire is an obsession, you will have no difficulty in convincing yourself that you will acquire it. The object is to want money and to become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate great riches. Money consciousness means that the mind has become so thoroughly saturated with the desire for money that one can see oneself already in possession of it. To the uninitiated, who has not been schooled in the working principles of the human mind, these instructions may appear impractical. It may be helpful to all who fail to recognize the soundness of the 6 steps to know that the information they convey was received from Andrew Carnegie, who began as an ordinary laborer in the steel mills, but managed, despite his humble beginning, to make these principles yield him a fortune of considerably more than $100 million. It may be of further help to know that the 6 steps here recommended were carefully scrutinized by the late Thomas A. Edison, who placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accumulation of money, but necessary for the attainment of any definite goal. The steps call for no hard labor. They call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or credulous. To apply them calls for no great amount of education. But the successful application of these 6 steps does call for sufficient imagination to enable one to see and to understand that accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, and luck. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. You may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantities unless you can work yourself into a white heat of desire for money and actually believe you will possess it. You may as well know also that every great leader, from the dawn of civilization down to the present, was a dreamer. Christianity is the greatest potential power in the world today because its founder was an intense dreamer who had the vision and the imagination to see realities in their mental and spiritual form before they had been transmuted into physical form. If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. Never in the history of America has there been so great an opportunity for practical dreamers as now exists. The 6-year economic collapse has reduced all men substantially to the same level. A new race is about to be run. The stakes represent huge fortunes which will be accumulated within the next 10 years. The rules of the race have changed because we now live in a changed world that definitely favors the masses, those who had but little or no opportunity to win under the conditions existing during the Depression, when fear paralyzed growth and development. We who are in this race for riches should be encouraged to know that this changed world in which we live is demanding new ideas, new ways of doing things, new leaders, new inventions, new methods of teaching, new methods of marketing, new books, new literature, new features for the radio, new ideas for moving pictures. Back of all this demand for new and better things, there is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. The business depression marked the death of one age and the birth of another. This changed world requires practical dreamers who can and will put their dreams into action. The practical dreamers have always been, and always will be, the pattern makers of civilization. We who desire to accumulate riches should remember the real leaders of the world always have been men who harnessed and put into practical use the intangible, unseen forces of unborn opportunity, and have converted those forces, or impulses of thought, into skyscrapers, cities, factories, airplanes, automobiles, and every form of convenience that makes life more pleasant. Tolerance and an open mind are practical necessities of the dreamer of today. Those who are afraid of new ideas are doomed before they start. Never has there been a time more favorable to pioneers than the present. True, there is no wild and woolly West to be conquered, as in the days of the covered wagon. But there is a vast business, financial, and industrial world to be remolded and redirected along new and better lines. In planning to acquire your share of the riches, let no one influence you to scorn the dreamer. To win the big stakes in this changed world, you must catch the spirit of the great pioneers of the past, whose dreams have given to civilization all that it has of value, the spirit which serves as the lifeblood of our own country, your opportunity and mine to develop and market our talents. Let us not forget, Columbus dreamed of an unknown world, staked his life on the existence of such a world, and discovered it. Copernicus, the great astronomer, dreamed of a multiplicity of worlds and revealed them. No one denounced him as impractical after he had triumphed. Instead, the world worshipped at his shrine, thus proving once more that success requires no apologies, failure permits no alibis. If the thing you wish to do is right, and you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across, and never mind what they say if you meet with temporary defeat, For they perhaps do not know that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Henry Ford, poor and uneducated, dreamed of a horseless carriage, went to work with what tools he possessed, without waiting for opportunity to favor him, and now evidence of his dream belts the entire earth. He has put more wheels into operation than any man who ever lived, because he was not afraid to back his dreams. Thomas Edison dreamed of a lamp that could be operated by electricity, began where he stood to put his dream into action, and despite more than 10,000 failures, he stood by that dream until he made it a physical reality. Practical dreamers do not quit. Whalen dreamed of a chain of cigar stores, transformed his dream into action, and now the United Cigar Stores occupy the best corners in America. Lincoln dreamed of freedom for the black slaves, put his dream into action, and barely missed living to see a united North and South translate his dream into reality. The Wright brothers dreamed of a machine that would fly through the air. Now one may see evidence all over the world that they dreamed soundly. Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of the ether. Evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every wireless and radio in the world. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cabin and the most stately manor house side by side. It made the people of every nation on earth backdoor neighbors. It gave the President of the United States a medium by which he may talk to all the people of America at one time and on short notice. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends had him taken into custody and examined in a psychopathic hospital when he announced he had discovered a principle through which he could send messages through the air without the aid of wires or other direct physical means of communication. The dreamers of today fare better. The world has become accustomed to new discoveries. Nay, it has shown a willingness to reward the dreamer who gives the world a new idea. The greatest achievement was, at first, and for a time, but a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. Awake, arise, and assert yourself, you dreamers of the world. Your star is now in the ascendancy. The world depression brought the opportunity you have been waiting for. It taught people humility, tolerance, and open-mindedness. The world is filled with an abundance of opportunity, which the dreamers of the past never knew. A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Dreams are not born of indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition. The world no longer scoffs at the dreamer, nor calls him impractical. If you think it does, take a trip to Tennessee and witness what a dreamer president has done in the way of harnessing and using the great water power of America. A score of years ago, such a dream would have seemed like madness. You have been disappointed. You have undergone defeat during the Depression. You have felt the great heart within you crushed until it bled. Take courage, for these experiences have tempered the spiritual metal of which you are made. They are assets of incomparable value. Remember, too, that all who succeed in life get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis, through which they are introduced to their other selves. John Bunyan wrote The Pilgrim's Progress, which is among the finest of all English literature, after he had been confined in prison and sorely punished because of his views on the subject of religion. O. Henry discovered the genius which slept within his brain after he had met with great misfortune and was confined in a prison cell in Columbus, Ohio. Being forced through misfortune to become acquainted with his other self and to use his imagination, he discovered himself to be a great author instead of a miserable criminal and outcast. Strange and varied are the ways of life, and stranger still are the ways of infinite intelligence, through which men are sometimes forced to undergo all sorts of punishment before discovering their own brains and their own capacity to create useful ideas through imagination. Edison, the world's greatest inventor and scientist, was a tramp telegraph operator. He failed innumerable times before he was driven finally to the discovery of the genius which slept within his brain. Charles Dickens began by pasting labels on blacking pots. The tragedy of his first love penetrated the depths of his soul and converted him into one of the world's truly great authors. That tragedy produced first David Copperfield, then a succession of other works that made this a richer and better world for all who read his books. Disappointment over love affairs generally has the effect of driving men to drink and women to ruin. And this because most people never learn the art of transmuting their strongest emotions into dreams of a constructive nature. Helen Keller became deaf, dumb, and blind shortly after birth. Despite her greatest misfortune, she has written her name indelibly in the pages of the history of the great. Her entire life has served as evidence that no one ever is defeated until defeat has been accepted as reality. Robert Burns was an illiterate country lad. He was cursed by poverty and grew up to be a drunkard in the bargain. The world was made better for his having lived because he clothed beautiful thoughts in poetry, and thereby plucked a thorn and planted a rose in its place. Booker T. Washington was born in slavery, handicapped by race and color. Because he was tolerant, had an open mind at all times on all subjects, and was a dreamer, he left his impress for good on an entire race. Beethoven was deaf, Milton was blind, but their names will last as long as time endures, because they dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. Before passing to the next chapter, kindle anew in your mind the fire of hope, faith, courage, and tolerance. If you have these states of mind and a working knowledge of the principles described, all else that you need will come to you when you are ready for it. Let Emerson state the thought in these words: every proverb, every book, every byword that belongs to thee for aid and comfort shall surely come home through open or winding passages. Every friend whom not thy fantastic will, but the great and tender soul in thee craveth, shall lock thee in his embrace. There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, and belief. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. A great poet has correctly stated this universal truth through these lines: I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Desire outwits Mother Nature. As a fitting climax to this chapter, I wish to introduce one of the most unusual persons I have ever known. I first saw him 24 years ago, a few minutes after he was born. He came into the world without any physical sign of ears, and the doctor admitted, when pressed for an opinion, that the child might be deaf and mute for life. I challenged the doctor's opinion. I had the right to do so. I was the child's father. I too reached a decision and rendered an opinion, but I expressed the opinion silently, in the secrecy of my own heart. I decided that my son would hear and speak. Nature could send me a child without ears, but nature could not induce me to accept the reality of the affliction. In my own mind, I knew that my son would hear and speak. How? I was sure there must be a way, and I knew I would find it. I thought of the words of the immortal Emerson. The whole course of things goes to teach us faith. We need only obey. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. The right word? Desire. More than anything else, I desired that my son should not be a deaf mute. From that desire, I never receded, not for a second. Many years previously, I had written, "Our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds." For the first time, I wondered if that statement were true. Lying on the bed in front of me was a newly born child, without the natural equipment of hearing. Even though he might hear and speak, he was obviously disfigured for life. Surely this was a limitation which that child had not set up in his own mind.
Do we want to end it there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll continue on next week.
Yeah.
Get to the hour.
Yeah, perfect. Does anyone want to share their key takeaways? I think for me, it's interesting. Like, obviously, there are people in the world that I don't agree with, whatever, politically or whatever, like Donald Trump, for example. But the thing that I noticed about him is that his belief in whatever the heck he was saying was just so strong. So I think that's just where, like, there needs to be more good people who know this and who like want good things in the world, you know. And you know, I think because I've done a lot of work around money, some of what he's saying could be triggering, but then when I open up the possibilities of what money can do for me and others in my life, I'm more open to having those strong beliefs that facilitate that dialogue. So it's interesting how the burning desire, because I've had the burning desire with other things in my life, like with athletics or with relationships or with like people, but to apply it to money is not something that I could confidently do. But now hearing this, it's like you just apply the same type of energy to finances as well, right?
It's interesting too, like when you actually break it down properly, like they say, it's not even really the belief that you need in your finances, right? It's the belief that you need in the product that's bringing that finances and that service, right? So when you're talking about it and when you break it down, like when you have all your list of things that you're breaking down and they're all things that you're passionate about, then in reality, it's just re-enrolling yourself in your own personal service. Cause it's like, okay, like, why is Reiki going to help people? Why is me having 20 people to do Reiki? How is that going to serve the world? So it has nothing to do with the money, because as long as we have what we're offering for payment of it, that's going to naturally come, right? So it's like literally all we have to be certain in is what we're providing. And then we just need to break down the numbers so that we understand when I do X amount, when I help 20 people, it's going to bring in this amount. So it's really just about getting really clear on it. But it's crazy, like when you actually flip that kind of like thought on it.
I love how much this conversation lights you up.
It does so much, because I'm like, it's so doable for all of us. It's just about having that plan and understanding why the heck we're doing it. Like we could all do exactly what we set out, but it just like, it's a matter, like, you know how many times I've done this, but I haven't actually broke down how many people I need to help and X amount of dollars and have the systems in place to send out that link for payment or this or that. It's like, it's simple, but it's actually us taking the time. Like after this, like guaranteed, I'm going to spend the whole evening breaking down these numbers so I know exactly how I'm going to get to that amount, because it's so doable for all of us. But and then it's just carrying it out, you know. But once you have that plan, it's like, it's just on us to carry it out, and we're totally capable of doing anything. And we don't have to provide any service that we don't feel good doing. So in reality, we're getting paid to feel good. How cool is that?
It's very cool. Who else wants to share?
I had a takeaway. It's really random and it comes up. It's crazy how much it comes up for me. He mentioned Beethoven. And when I was a kid, I watched this documentary on Beethoven. I'm going to rewatch this documentary because when I noticed it's a reenactment of his entire life as a child and when he started to go blind and the determination he had to learn to play piano and learn the keys. And when they put the Braille on the keys and everything, and this little kid was just so determined. And as a kid myself, it like lit this like spark in me ever since that day. And it's crazy how much that comes up for me in my life, like daily. So just hearing that again, it's my takeaway, because I'm gonna go ahead and rewatch that documentary, because it just fires me up and brings that desire in. And if I could, empathetically feel what he's feeling as a child and push that towards my own desires, I think it'll create something really awesome.
It's so beautiful, Carmen. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Haley, did you want to go?
Can you post the link for it in the group? I'll watch it too.
His documentary? Yeah. I gotta find it. Like I was in grade school when I watched this, so like it was a long time ago. So I literally wrote on my notes, like, look for this documentary.
I watched it too in elementary school too.
Yeah, it's a dope documentary.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, I'll send it as soon as I find it. I'm gonna cry when I find it.
Beautiful. Who wants to go next?
I can jump in. Yeah, I think a few different things came up. I think faith in myself is probably the biggest one, that I actually can do it. Yeah, and I think for me, putting pen to paper has been always a bit of a struggle, and writing out that plan, because there is a sense of real accountability when you write it down, as you're saying, Laura, like it is doable, right? And I always have lots of things in my head, and even when we were like getting to the point of like writing it down, I was like, oh God, I hate there's something about it that just like makes me anxious, and I just like overthink it, and then I'm like, you need to be accountable for this, which is the piece that I need, but there's definitely a lot of fear there. And I think, for myself is just like constantly reminding myself that I can do it and I can attain these goals, and they are within, my personal power, and just to allow those sort of negative or fearful thoughts to come through, but not overwhelm me and not overtake me, and be able to sort of continue to remind myself that I am capable of everything that I want and I put my mind to, and the book was really helpful. I think Ju made a good point though, in terms of like some of the things. I mean, the book is really old, so like there are definitely things that are just naturally outdated, but it is very focused on sort of like getting money, and I think they could be potentially triggering, or some of the things for me, I'm like, because when I think of money, I don't like to think of greed. And I think that's probably part of the reason that, I had that initial 175, and I was like, oh, like, maybe that's greedy of me. And that's sort of just like work that I need to do around money and finances and myself as well. But yeah, some really great points, and the underlying points of like having faith, and putting a plan in practice, and genuinely just not caring what other people think or sort of what their opinions are, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. When he was talking about all those amazing people have done amazing things, like I don't remember this particular person, but the one where they like wanted to bring him to an asylum because he was figuring out, and you're just like, wow, that's wild. Like back then, that they thought like people that were just so incredible were essentially insane. So yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. This has been really great.
Amazing.
So good.
We have so much belief in you, and it's cool because we can hold each other accountable now with this too. Because I was looking at how many chapters there are, and I think it's gonna be like 3 or 4 months that like it takes to kind of go through each one every Friday. So it's like we get to hold each other accountable for that amount of time, which is awesome. Like I'm actually so excited for it.
That's a long time.
It is, I know. And I was at first, I was like, oh man, but now like after being with you guys, like imagine if we could literally just pop on here once a week for an hour and be this invested in getting excited about our finances. Like, I don't remember the last time, especially weekly, where I get excited about finances and the service I can provide to people to create these finances. Like getting to do every week with you guys. It's like so cool.
Totally. Yeah. I've never done this before, so this is great.
Me neither.
The other thing I was thinking too, we can revisit as well, like I'll post in the chat, like Peter Kelly's segment on rewriting your money story. That was when I did a lot of the rewriting of all that stuff, and like essentially just writing a love letter to money, like, money, thank you so much for blessing my life so that I can use this for all the good organic food I'm going to buy and blah, blah, blah. And I think when you can think about it like that and why we need that money, and then just up leveling we all deserve it. You know, we all deserve it for sure. Because we're going to do such good things with it. We're going to help so many people. And if anyone deserves it, we deserve it because we actually have a really great heart. So.
Oh, yes, we do. So good. Haley, do you want to share?
I had the same thought as Carmen before.
Beautiful. Do you know what your goals are that you're going to achieve, Haley?
I'm still trying to like think of them right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. June, are you there? Do you want to share? MIA?
She's absent.
Absent. Okay. I wrote down like just kind of like some like lessons that I was pulling out of the different stories that he was sharing. So like take every opportunity to learn. Doesn't matter what the situation is, just like really like learn everything that you possibly can from it. Goals are achieved only by clear intentional desire. So you have to know exactly what it is that you want going into it and the energy you want to have throughout the process in order to actually achieve the goal. Posture and drive and clarity of desired outcome. The past does not matter. The future is built in the present. You must know the optimal desired outcome prior to starting. You must know where you're going. And then when you have a burning desire, failure is just never an option because you're just continually just like taking what's in front of you and just continually moving forward. And as long as we're moving forward, even if we don't hit our targeted goals, it really doesn't matter because we're so much further ahead just by doing that. And then the cool thing is that even if we don't get to hit it by that date, we just continue going. We might hit that next year, you know, and then we just keep going from there and then we get to hit a new one for the following year. So it's like, it's just a continual, like, it's not like there's an actual deadline. And if we don't see failure as quitting, then there's no such thing as failure because we just continually keep moving that date forward if we have to until we achieve it or exceed it. And then practical dreamers do not quit. The dreamer who gives the world a new idea is rewarded. And I thought was really cool because we all have such like brilliant ideas to be able to bring to the world. And I think the world is in such a transition moment right now where it truly does need our ideas. And there's so much value in what we have to offer. So we're going to be rewarded for all of our boldness in this time of just bringing new things and birthing new things to the world.
Wow, I really love all of those. Can you type those up for the group?
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, girl.
Thank you, everybody, for being on here. Guess we'll call
This
it.
was awesome, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Bye,
much. This was
guys.
great. Thank you. See you all next week. Have a wonderful
you,
weekend,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.
You
Does
too.
everybody want to post
Bye.
a picture of all their 6 questions in the group? Once you have it
Yeah,
all.
we can do that.
Okay, cool. And I'll post a recording for everybody else. Everybody catching the recording, we love
Awesome.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.